The political world just collided head-on with hip-hop culture, and the fallout is impossible to ignore. What started as online commentary quickly spiraled into a fiery exchange between Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett and rap superstar Nicki Minaj. Accusations flew, timelines exploded, and supporters on both sides turned the heat all the way up. At the center of the storm, claims that Nicki had gone full MAGA, igniting backlash that reached far beyond music. Jasmine Crockett didn't hold back, delivering sharp words that instantly went viral and shifted the conversation from celebrity opinion to political accountability. Meanwhile, Nicki's fan base rallied, pushing back against what they saw as an unfair attack. Was this a clash of ideology, influence, or ego? And how did a political debate turn into one of the most heated cultural showdowns online? Let's break down exactly what happened and why everyone is talking about it. Turning to the topic at hand, Jasmine Crockett has re-entered public debate, and this isn't the first time her name has sparked strong reactions.
I want to ask about Nicki Minaj, because she's like, very in the news these days, has like, you're doing a face right now.
We don't mess with Nicki.
You don't mess with Nicki?
No, we don't mess with Nicki.
Did you used to mess with her?
Oh, of course. I mean, you had to, but I will be clear, I have always loved Cardi more.
Toward the end of last year, around September and October, commentary surrounding Crockett began heating up across media platforms. During that time, discussions also surfaced on the sports-focused channel Dreamish Pro, where her public treatment was addressed directly. What stood out most was how certain media personalities, including Stephen A. Smith, appeared to strongly criticize her position. The tone of the coverage raised questions about fairness and balance in public discourse. The broader issue centers on whether the criticism was proportionate or whether it reflected a larger pattern of piling on political figures in the media. With Crockett once again trending in national conversations, it's time to examine what's really happening and why her name continues to generate debate. There was concern about how the criticism looked from a public standpoint. It appeared selective. If the issue was truly about tone or delivery, then consistency would matter, especially considering figures like Laura Loomer and others in the political space are known for using extremely sharp language. Yet the focus seemed heavily placed on how Jasmine Crockett carried herself, which raised questions about fairness and media scrutiny. At the same time, another name dominating headlines has been Nicki Minaj. Her recent actions have sparked widespread criticism and debate. In a highly publicized moment, she appeared alongside Donald Trump, where she showcased a go-kart and later posted about it online, suggesting she believed the appearance might somehow relate to a path towards citizenship. However, clarification quickly followed from the White House, stating that such an appearance was not connected to any citizenship process.
Okay.
And clearly my instincts were right to love on Cardi more than Nicki.
Totally. So you kind of flipped on her. What was the moment you decided that I just can't anymore?
I just don't do sellouts, especially in this moment, right? Like, things are too serious. There are too many people that are being harmed. And especially with her being an immigrant, then deciding to go and cozy up to this administration that is specifically putting targets on the backs of immigrants and anyone who stands with them. Even if they're U.S. citizens, they can catch a bullet. That is wrong. And I don't even understand how you can play with it and pretend like it's anything but wrong.
The situation led to significant backlash, with many arguing that the moment reflected poorly on her judgment. Critics suggested that she may have misunderstood the nature of political alliances, assuming support that was never formally established. Observers pointed out that in politics, loyalty tends to center around strategic interests rather than personal relationships. That entire episode added fuel to an already growing conversation about celebrity involvement in politics and how quickly public perception can shift. Meanwhile, attention returned to Jasmine Crockett as new audio surfaced that further intensified discussion around her recent public remarks. The footage appeared to show Jasmine Crockett walking through what looked like a public space when reporters from TMZ approached her for comment. At that moment, attention was already building around Nicki Minaj, whose public support appeared to be declining rapidly following recent political controversies. Observers described it as a noticeable shift in public sentiment. The decision was made to play Crockett's full response, and it quickly became clear that she did not hold back. Her tone was firm, direct, and unapologetic. When asked about Nicki Minaj, Crockett reacted visibly before stating, "We don't mess with Nicki." When pressed further, "You don't mess with Nicki," she doubled down. "No, we don't mess with Nicki. When asked whether she previously supported her, Crockett responded, "Oh, of course, I mean you had to, but I will be clear, I have always loved Cardi more." That reference pointed toward Cardi B, signaling a shift in public alignment. When questioned about what caused the change, Crockett replied, "I just don't do sellouts, especially in this moment, right? Like things are too serious. There are too many people that are being harmed, and especially with her being an immigrant, then deciding to go and cozy up to this administration that is specifically putting targets on the backs of immigrants and anyone who stands with them. Even if they're US citizens, they can catch a bullet. That is wrong." She continued by emphasizing that, in her view, the political climate is too serious for symbolic gestures that appear to support policies she believes negatively impact immigrant communities.
Why do you think she's doing it then?
Listen, I don't know if it's because she looking for some papers for some people, or if she's looking for them other papers, because, you know, I hear that she got family members that's got a little, you know, a few little issues, right? And so maybe she needs them other papers, because he love to hand those out, usually at a cost, right? But going after people like Don Lemon, who I love dearly, just wrong. Like, she's just on the wrong side of history. So I hope that people remember all of this when she comes back and she's broke and she's begging for money and support, because something tells me MAGA ain't gonna do it for her.
When asked why she thinks Nicki is making these choices, Crockett added, "Listen, I don't know if it's because she's looking for some papers for some people, or if she's looking for them other papers, because, you know, I hear that she got family members that's got a little, you know, a few little issues, right?" That final remark introduced speculation, though no specific evidence was cited. The exchange quickly spread online, adding another layer to the growing tension between public figures across politics and entertainment. Crockett continued, suggesting that perhaps Nicki may be seeking other papers, adding that certain political figures are known for granting favors, but often at a price. She then shifted focus to Nicki's recent criticism of Don Lemon, stating that attacking him was unnecessary and misguided. In her view, these choices place Nicki on what she described as the wrong side of history, and she warned that public memory can be long when political winds shift. She went on to say she hopes people remember these moments if circumstances change for Nicki in the future. She questioned whether those currently cheering her political alignment would offer the same support later on, implying that political loyalty can be transactional rather than personal. The interviewer then posed an interesting cultural question. If Nicki were to release a major hit, the kind of song that dominates summer playlists, would critics still refuse to support it? Could someone separate the music from the politics? Crockett responded by referencing R. Kelly, noting that despite his legal troubles and current incarceration, some people still choose to listen to his music. She acknowledged that many individuals can separate art from the artist. However, for her, the issue is not simply about enjoyment, it's about financial support. She emphasized that money fuels influence. According to her argument, it was consumer dollars that built Nicki's platform in the first place, the same platform that now gives her access to powerful political figures like Donald Trump. Without public financial backing, she argued, that level of recognition would not exist. The broader question she raised was whether audiences should continue financially supporting a public figure if that figure then uses their influence in ways critics believe undermine communities or societal values. For Crockett, the issue centers less on entertainment and more on accountability tied to economic power and public influence. The conversation then shifted to a cultural moment tied to politics, the so-called Turning Point themed halftime show where Kid Rock was announced as the headliner. Some observers expected Nicki Minaj to appear, especially given her recent alignment with MAGA-adjacent spaces. However, she was not included in the lineup, which raised eyebrows. The question was simple. If she is being celebrated within that political movement, why isn't she featured at one of its most visible events? Crockett suggested that perhaps Nicki is beginning to understand her position within that circle, or perhaps not. Either way, the absence sparked more speculation about how deep her acceptance truly runs within those ranks. After hearing the full exchange, the takeaway presented was that Crockett's remarks were direct and intentional. The view expressed was that there is no obligation to remain polite when confronting positions believed to be harmful. According to this perspective, Nicki's political pivot was not subtle. It was decisive and dramatic. The shift reportedly alienated portions of her fan base to such a degree that an online petition allegedly gathered significant traction calling for her deportation, reportedly reaching tens of thousands of signatures.
If Nicki came out with like, you know, a summer jam and you couldn't not bop your head to it, do you think you'd still have to turn it off when you're in the car and it came on the radio? Or like, can you divorce those two things?
I think that there are plenty of people. I'll give you an example. R. Kelly, right? A lot of people took issue with R. Kelly. R. Kelly obviously is serving and doing his time right now. But something tells me that people are still bumping R. Kelly somewhere, somehow, right? I think that there are people that can divorce the art. For me, it is more so about like your dollars. Like, are you going to support with your dollars certain things? Because it's the dollars that have given her a platform in the first place. Otherwise, Donald Trump wouldn't even know who she was. No one would know who she was, but for the dollars that were used to support her that allowed her to have the platform that she has.
That level of backlash illustrates how quickly public opinion can turn when politics and entertainment collide. The broader argument referenced the current administration's aggressive immigration policies, often associated with figures like Stephen Miller, whose name has become closely tied to hardline approaches in foreign policy and immigration reform. The underlying message was clear: aligning with powerful political movements carries consequences, both socially and economically. And when a public figure steps fully into that space, reactions, whether supportive or critical, tend to follow just as forcefully. Critics have also pointed to past comments and writings from Stephen Miller, especially from his college years, arguing that his long-held views on immigration and national identity are well documented. That background is why some observers find it surprising that Nicki Minaj would publicly align herself with a political movement closely associated with figures like him. The argument presented is that immigration enforcement has been a major focus of this administration, with aggressive rhetoric and policy proposals aimed at tightening deportation standards. Given that context, critics question why Nicki would assume she is insulated from those same policies simply because of celebrity status. The broader point raised is that political movements often operate on ideology and strategy, not personal loyalty.
Do you want to continue to support or elevate a person's platform who's then going to turn around and do things that are demeaning to us as a society?
It's interesting to me that like she's like the MAGA hero right now, but she's not included in their halftime Super Bowl show. You know how they're doing a Turning Points halftime show? Kid Rock is headlining. I assumed that Nicki was gonna headline, but she's not even on the bill. It's a pride. Why do you think Nicki's not on there?
She may now understand her place as it relates to MAGA, but maybe she won't. Who knows?
Reports have previously stated that Nicki immigrated to the United States as a child. Discussions around documentation status during that time have circulated online, but it is important to clarify that no official claim has been made suggesting her current citizenship is in question. Still, the irony highlighted by commentators is that immigration policy could theoretically impact anyone without proper legal standing, regardless of fame. This led into a broader reflection on political alignment. Some supporters have asked why there is resistance toward the MAGA movement. The response given centers on perception and messaging. For critics, the phrase "Make America Great Again" carries implications about which groups are prioritized in that vision of America. The perspective expressed is that certain communities feel excluded from that narrative. The concern is not simply about party politics, but about whether the movement's tone and policy goals reflect inclusivity or division. That is the core reason cited for declining to support it. In the end, the debate is less about celebrity and more about ideology, about who is represented, who feels protected, and who feels left out when powerful slogans become national platforms. The broader concern raised extends beyond one individual. Figures like Elon Musk have also been associated with the movement, and rhetoric about identity and loyalty has surfaced in various political spaces. Some critics argue that certain voices within the movement emphasize racial solidarity in ways that make others feel excluded. For example, commentary surrounding Vivek Ramaswamy drew attention when past remarks from public figures, including Ann Coulter, resurfaced. During a widely discussed exchange, Coulter suggested that despite Ramaswamy's intelligence and wealth, his background would prevent her from supporting him. That moment became a talking point about identity politics and perceived acceptance within certain political circles. There was also reference to a town hall event in Indiana where Ramaswamy faced pointed questions from voters. For critics, these incidents illustrate what they believe to be underlying tensions within the movement about who truly fits into its vision. Another name frequently mentioned in debates about the movement is Nick Fuentes, particularly after his appearance on Piers Morgan Uncensored, where his views were strongly challenged. Support from controversial figures like Fuentes has intensified skepticism among critics who question the broader values associated with the movement. The central argument expressed is rooted in personal conviction. There is no willingness to align with any political movement perceived as dismissive or disrespectful toward Black communities. The concern extends specifically to rhetoric aimed at Black women, which critics say has surfaced repeatedly in certain online spaces tied to the movement. The stance articulated is clear. Support will not be given to any ideology that appears to demean or marginalize Black individuals, particularly Black women. The issue, as framed here, is not about nuance or misinterpretation. It is about repeated patterns of language and messaging that are viewed as harmful. The argument continues by rejecting the idea that critics misunderstand context. The claim is that adults are fully capable of recognizing tone, subtext, and consistent messaging. Therefore, dismissing criticism as ignorance is seen as avoidance rather than explanation. Ultimately, the position is that self-respect and community respect must come first. Aligning with a movement that, in this view, frequently tolerates rhetoric critical of Black people would contradict those principles. The conclusion is simple. Participation is voluntary. Those who feel welcomed may choose to engage, but there is no obligation to join. The final takeaway emphasizes accountability. Individuals who publicly support movements perceived as harmful should expect scrutiny and pushback. Political identity, celebrity influence, and cultural loyalty are deeply intertwined, and once a public stance is taken, reactions will follow. As always, thoughtful discussion is encouraged. Share perspectives in the comments section and continue the conversation in the next episode.